Osio. That is a traditional Cherokee greeting. Though I don't really look it, I am part Cherokee, at least from my father's side. In fact, Cherokee is just one of the 3 Native American tribes that I belong to. And for this reason, I must speak to you today about an injustice against my people that to this day has not been corrected. Do you recognize the person on this $20 bill? That is Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States of America. Unfortunately, that is all most Americans know about the man. What they do not know is that this man pressed for and signed into law the Indian Removal Act of 1830. This law not only forced Native Americans who lived in the southern states for thousands of years, like the Cherokee, off their land, it latently allowed private white citizens to have their way with them. As an example of this, I'm not sure how many people know about the miniseries from 1997 called True Women, but in it, there is a scene where 3 rustic barbarians came to the home of a slave named Josiah, a home that he shared with his Creek wife, Toby. Without saying a word, these men shot Josiah when he tried to defend his home. Then they tied Toby's hands behind her back like cowards and lynched her. Unlike most of the bigoted quote-unquote settlers of this time, all 3 of these men were punished for their wickedness when Josiah gathered the strength to kill all 3 of them when they walked away thinking he was dead. Then his heart tore in 2 when he saw his beautiful Toby dead. She had been a peaceful, loving woman whose only crime was being Native American during the time when people who dared to call themselves Christian wanted her and every red-skinned person annihilated in the name of manifest destiny. I assure you that President Andrew Jackson and all of his supporters were far more savage than they claimed the Native Americans to be. The Native Americans tried to live in peace with the settlers. They shared their land with them, their food, their customs, especially when the settlers were starving to death, and they even shared their medicine with them. Many converted to Christianity and even wore European clothing, mainly to be at peace with the settlers. For the most part, Native Americans only attacked when they were provoked, and trust me, they were far more merciful towards women and children than the settlers and the army were. Nevertheless, they were still considered subhuman and had their land, customs, languages, freedom, and even their lives taken away from them, all in the name of manifest destiny. Today, the disrespect and ignorance people have for Native Americans continues. The University of Illinois' mascot is Illiniwek, a man, not even a Native American, who wears a Native American garb and then dances around the stadium. Then there are the Washington Redskins and the Chicago Blackhawks. Oh, and if you look at their jerseys, of course you'll see pictures of Native Americans. So proud people and brave warriors are being mocked. And, well, this isn't the only time in history that this has happened. This happens whenever people are conquered. They're being abused in such a way by their conquerors. Our people have been mocked for so long in ways like this that people these days do it unconsciously. And when I try to call people on this, they just tell me to shut up and that I'm overreacting. And if this is not bad enough, this country is known for honoring those who murdered or oppressed Native Americans. In Chicago, for instance, there's a street named after General Philip Sheridan, the first man known to say, quote, "The only good engine is a dead engine," end quote. There's even a monument for him, and I have seen this. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a monument for Colonel Custer or Kit Carson somewhere in this country. So this brings me back to the fact that Andrew Jackson, the most infamous president to Native American nations, is still on our currency. There have been a series of apologies made by the American government to Native Americans for the atrocities committed against them, but little has been done to rectify what was done to them. Native Americans still, to this day, live on land that they do not have complete control over, and reparations were not made for the land they lost. There are many ways the government can set things right with Native Americans, but they should start by taking Andrew Jackson from American currency and replace him with someone more humane. Better yet, take away all of the honors and demolish all monuments to this demon. The same, by the way, goes for Christopher Columbus, one of the few people in history to successfully annihilate an entire ethnicity. And if you're rolling your eyes right now, let me ask you a question. If you are of Irish descent, how do you feel about any honors given to Oliver Cromwell? If you are Jewish, how do you feel about any honors given to Adolf Hitler or Tsar Nicholas II of Russia? If you are Polish, how do you feel about any honors given to Winston Churchill or Joseph Stalin? And if you are African American, how do you feel about any honors being given to Strom Thurmond, Andrew Johnson, and David Duke? Then you know how Americans feel or should feel about Andrew Jackson. Even if you do not belong to any of these groups, learn some history. Not the kind they teach us in 5th grade so that they would feel good about being American, and I still do. I mean real history. And then listen to your heart. Then you will know that honoring any evil person is immoral. Once you know the full truth about Andrew Jackson, I urge you to contact your local federal politicians. Tell them that you are tired of Andrew Jackson casting a shadow on the reputation of America and demand them to present a bill to Congress to remove his image from our currency. It is not enough to express outrage the way I'm feeling right now. Actions speak louder than words. That is why I've already started contacting my senator, Richard Durbin, to encourage him to present such a bill. But for the sake of all that is virtuous, I urge all of you to please join me in my campaign. Wado.